All right, we'll call to order this meeting of the Fitchburg Park Commission for June 20th, 2024. Held at City Hall in the Jeannie Seelig Room. Attending tonight, myself, I'm chairing the Herbst. Christopher's next to me, and Sam, Heidi, Parks Director Scott, and Chris to my right. Missing tonight, Sue and Sarah are both excused with absences. So next we have approval of minutes from the June 6th meeting. Do we have a motion to approve the June 6th minutes? Motion to approve. Moved by Christopher. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Heidi. Discussion, changes, modifications. Anyone? Going once, going twice? All right. Call the vote. All in favor of approval of minutes signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the minutes are approved. Next, we have public appearances for non-agenda items. And we have Patrick Cheney, 5211 Kitty Crest, that would like to speak.
Yeah, some things that I noticed that I thought might be of interest to this commission and to consider for the future. I noticed, or I remember that the CIP was before this commission back at the April 4th meeting quite a while ago. And the reason given at the time of that was that it was due to the finance director. But then I've seen recently here, I will have a question at the end of this that I will pose. Then I saw that recently, very recently here, last Tuesday, June 11th, the CIP was officially referred out by the council. And then Monday of this week was the Board of Public Works discussing the CIP, and I was there for that. And then on Tuesday was the Plan Commission this week on the 18th, and I was watching that one. And next week is the Finance Committee reviewing the CIP. So it just seemed odd that the Parks Commission saw it way back April 4th, but this is the official referral around to the meeting to discuss before it returns to the council on Tuesday. And I did look at the mayor also made her changes to this in the meantime, and then the official version after the mayor proposed it was this month, June 7th. So this is the version here that anyone would want to see what the official proposed version of the CIP is, in case anyone wants to make any amendments or take an interest in something or other. I did note that the items that were agreed at the Park Commission back on April 4th are almost all included in that, except for one thing. The Park Commission recommended taking out the open air shelter of the inclusive playground, and I'm thinking that the mayor saw otherwise and put it back in. That's the only thing that's different from what the Park Commission reviewed. Really, my question is just, why wasn't the official version referred to the Park Commission, and instead the Park Commission saw it way back early at the beginning? And in anticipation of that answer, I'm thinking that it was a timing thing. And of course, this meeting right here, being right in the middle of the round of reviews by the other committees and boards and such, this meeting timing wasn't anticipated. But possibly in the future, that might be an option to consider rescheduling the July meeting or one of them so that they fit right into this time frame of reviewing the official CIP before it goes back to the council. So that's my question of, is that why it was in April rather than referred out to Parks now?
No, typically what happens is our CIP from the Parks Department is due at that time. So then what we do is we submit our CIP, I bring it to the board, and then they provide their recommendations, and then I send that to finance. And then at that point, the Park Commission is really done with their process for the CIP. Then the mayor will consider it and then make her amendments, which is what you're seeing there, and then staff has an opportunity to provide additional information on those amendments for the council so that they know about that, and then it goes to the council. So we, in theory, just propose a CIP to the mayor takes it, decides what she wants to do, and then submits that to the council.
It's just the difference that I was seeing is effectively Parks is way at the front, then the mayor goes through it and makes the official version, and then Board of Public Works, Planning, Finance are all reviewing her version.
Her version.
So that's the usual way? It just didn't seem like that's the way it was done before.
That's been the way that it's.
We would prefer to have our input into it, and then he sends it to the mayor, so that's.
And then the mayor, pretty much.
And she beats, whatever she does, and
Then the council.
comes back, there'll be a public hearing on it, and council, people can come and comment, and the alders can make amendments.
Okay, well, it seemed odd, and I thought I would mention it for commission to think about and consider.
Thank you. Thank you for that explanation. All right, so next we have review and approval of the agenda. Does anyone have changes they want to make to the agenda? The motion, all in favor of approval of our current agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the agenda is approved. Next we have discussion items. 5 Alpha, Resolution R11224, acceptance of North Fish Hatchery pub bids. And we have Assistant City Administrator Adam here. Would you like to talk on this, or would you like Scott? However you guys want to handle it.
Yep, he's basically the Tim from the Public Works Director, the engineer, he did a good job. He actually reviewed the resolution, which really kind of lays out the process that we've gone through for the approval of the hub. We did advertise it through normal channels, including Quest. The engineering department did receive, and I think I've included in here the bid tabulation, received 3 bids, 3 qualified bids, and staff is recommending Sullivan Design to build the hub at a cost of $4,280,960. But with this dollar amount, the city currently has allocated in the budget $4,056,357. So there is a need for a budget amendment, and that budget amendment will be $1,084,532. Now included in the project is also a 10% contingency of $430,000. So that is kind of the process that has gone through in order to get the bids to the different committees. Board of Public Works did meet on Monday, and they did approve the bid. And what I did do, which I thought would be of interest to the group, this is a document that EOR provided as kind of a summary of the project, which I'm sure you're fully aware of, but it does include a playground area in the green. There's a bike facility up in the top right-hand corner. We have a building, a parks building in the middle, and this is a multi-purpose hard court, which will be marked for both basketball and pickleball. One thing that was included as this went through the process, it's taken about 4 years. What was also included in this bid is foundations for the covered structure of the hard court. The original design did include a cover or a roof for the hard court area, but that was removed. But since then, the council did approve the idea of including the foundations for the covered structure, if that would ever come to fruition. So this is a little bit more of a breakdown of the bike facility. Here's kind of a schematic of the playground, with the shade structures, and this is really a view of the building from the southeast. Tracy, Traceway is out to the front here. This is the front entrance. And these are the meeting rooms with the glass windows. And then this is kind of the spine, the middle, the vestibule that runs through the building. And then behind it, you can see right here, these are where the bathrooms are. There's a little bit of an office there. And this is to the north, to the back, where there is a covered, kind of a roof area for picnicking. And then there's a potential concession vending window there on the north. And these are kind of the materials for the facility. And then here's more of the interior finishes. And then here is kind of the footprint of the building. Again, the meeting rooms to the east, the entrance off of Traceway, an office, bathrooms, which will be open to the exterior and then also available for entrance from the interior, some storage, and then here's a small warming kitchen to the north with a potential serving window there. So that is kind of a description of the facility. One other thing that I might add is we were, this is the funding sources for the project, and we're fortunate enough that all the construction costs is going to be paid through our parkland dedication dollars and park improvement dollars. One question that was brought up at Public Works, which was a good question, is, are we depleting all of the dollars that we have available through these funds? And the answer is no. We still, for example, for Highfield Reserve and then the Hartung property, we're only taking a portion of the dollars, so there's still going to be remaining dollars to do park improvements when those developments come online. This is kind of the breakdown for you that want to. This was one question that was also brought up at Public Works, and they were, we thank them for providing this kind of a summary of the costs of the project, and it did come in over the estimate. And actually, Mike Enberg from our Mike Zilke from Enberg did take a quick look at these because we just received them recently, and he mentioned that it was kind of a general increase in all of the different categories, trying to pinpoint where the increases were, and he really felt it was kind of a across the board increase and then this was kind of cool too, a little bit of a pie chart of the pieces of the project and their funding allocations.
And that is not in our packet, those,
No, keep going.
oh, I haven't got there yet. Perfect, thank
Yep,
you.
I did include that recently in the packet.
Thank you.
There's the funding source.
So, it's out, so this is coming in about $1 million more than what we anticipated?
$1 million, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, and then, and it sounds like all of this was starting before I was on the commission, but I'm wondering what the meeting rooms, what was the plan with that?
Well, they eventually will be similar to the community center, will be available for rent.
Okay,
At this point, it's going to be a slow opening, if you would, but eventually they'd be available to the public for rent.
and did we do any sort of, I don't know, studies, local businesses, do we anticipate that there would be a need or a want for that?
Well, and really, I kind of take, for example, the Hugo Jamestown Park Shelter. It's a newer shelter, and I anticipate that this is going to be a very popular place, not only for the neighborhood, but certainly for the community, to have an event, and then you rent the facility for an event, and you've got all of these different amenities right there. So I think I would be fully, very confident that it's going to be a facility that people are going to want to rent.
Okay.
It'll be rented a lot. So, quick question in regards to the increase or over budget would be, is that mainly because of inflation costs, et cetera, and all the increase of costs for construction materials. That's my assumption. But do we have more detail? I'm sure you do in regards to the finishings and specialties. So there's two categories around specialty items. I just want to have more information on what does that mean?
Well, in weed, right, I don't have which one are you looking
So
for?
if you look at the budget,
Which one are you looking at, Christopher? Maybe I can,
keep going.
yep.
It is this one.
Yeah.
So there's finishings and specialties. Is it that there? No, keep going down. I'm sorry. No.
Yeah, it was up, Division 10.
Yeah, specialties, and then below that, there's another line.
Specialties?
Yeah, 32. Finishings and specialties comes up again. So I just like that, just a question.
Oh, boy,
What does that mean? And
Yeah,
it's listed twice.
I don't see it in there twice. What am I?
32 and 10.
What, 32 is asphalt paving?
Oh, I'm sorry, 32, go down to a couple. Site finishings and specialties.
Oh, there you go.
That,
That 32.
That 32.
that basically, that includes, as I understand, that includes the playground,
Okay,
the track,
okay.
and then all of the outdoor amenities.
Now, Scott, when you were going through the numbers, now I have the chart in front of me. You said we had 4.2, and then the city budget was 5.6.
5
Or 4.6, 4.5 or 5. And then, so we put a 10% contingency, we're at about 5. How come we needed another 1.5 million? You know, it seems like it's an extra, extra half million here that I'm not accounting for. So we started out, we had a budget of 4.2, where it was estimated at 4.2, and then we upped their budget to 4.5. And then we're Adam is about ready to tip me over the head.
Thank you, Adam.
It's not, I'm missing something here, Adam.
So the original budget was about 4 million. The bid came in at 4.2.
Okay.
10% contingency on the 4.2.
Yeah.
Then plus some additional furnishings as well, construction management costs as well, and anything kind of left.
Construction management.
So
And that wasn't worked into the original bid?
Construction management
No.
would have been included.
on our side, our construction management, as we review the project, as it gets built. So
Okay,
our staff, basically a third party inspecting the project.
right, okay.
So that's what we're looking at.
I'll add, and I brought this up with Scott. This originally came, we had Saris donated to the bike part. And it was like 75,000. And I asked at the time, I said, do we have that donation? And the city administrator assured me we did, because they were going through receivership. We never received that.
Oh,
So then the taxpayers are asked to come up with, and I'm disappointed. And we got some money from the county, but that shouldn't have happened. We should have, they were bragging, it was being touted, or it was being, to the alders, and well, we have this big donation, and then it doesn't come, so it falls back, on.
did the donor just,
They went
Pull out, or-
into receivership, so,
oh, yeah, that'll do it.
they're still operating, they're right next to my house, well, right next to your house too, you've seen them probably out your window. They're
Yeah,
still operating, but I'm sure they couldn't. I was told that money was in a foundation and it would still be available, but
has anybody approached them?
it's never materialized.
I've been in communication with Saris. They've been very interested in the project, and certainly through that transition, I think there's, been concerns or issues. They're still very interested in being involved in the project. Once, if it does come to fruition, the idea of them being involved in programming with the bike facility, they're very interested in that, and hopefully maybe, they still at some point may decide that they'll be able to support it dollar-wise.
Oh, show me the money,
Right, well, I mean,
It's disappointing.
would it be possible to even work out sort of a payment plan, like so much the first year, so much the second year, so much the third year, so we would be able to count on the money, but then, maybe we we front it and then it gets filled in going forward? I mean, I'm not sure how that works, but,
Getting money out of it, a company that's gone into receivership.
yeah.
Well, I'll stop, thank you for the explanation, I forgot about the construction management, thank you.
And I don't know that much about construction management, but I would think that would be something that would be considered part of an original bid. I mean, because you guys want to get paid, so I don't know why that wouldn't have been, unless I'm misunderstanding something.
It wouldn't be in the bid itself, it'd be on our side since it's our cost that we have to incur because we're the ones doing the work to review the project in essence. So we have a third party that will make sure they're building it to the specs and.
So we were planning on the third party
Yes.
and that, okay.
Yeah, that was always
that's-
the intent, that it would not be city staff, it'd be a third party.
Gotcha.
That's gonna be the architectural firm.
Okay, that's what I was missing, that piece of the puzzle.
So instead of adding money to this project, did we go back and look at where we could have cut to maintain the budget? Could there have been areas we could have gone back to the budget and said, wait a minute, we need to strip this out,
Or hold off on it a little.
At this point, the project was a lump sum, so that there isn't a way to go back and negotiate, the prices, that kind of thing at this point.
I'm not saying negotiate the prices, I'm saying going back and reducing things that were in the original quote and saying, look, we're not gonna do this now because we don't have the money to pay for it.
Yeah, and again, it's a lump sum, so when they provide that price, there isn't really an itemized, for example, if you didn't want to do the playground, we don't have an itemized option as an alternate to take out the playground or take out this or take out that. So when they bid the project, it was a lump sum that included everything.
I understand that, but I'm just saying.
Our option would be to rebid it.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, because I'm thinking, I mean,
They know that too, right?
being a single mom, I mean, I'm a payment plan, that's always my thing, so I'm wondering, are there items that we could put on pause, do it in 25, do it in 26?
I'll be frank with you, I would be for that, and maybe one other alder. And this is the building and the thing that the mayor wants. And the train isn't going to be stopped.
So regardless.
I'm sorry, I wish I could be more.
Well, no, I've got to be frank with us, that's good.
Yeah,
I mean, we are taxpayers, right? I mean, at some level, we need to be accountable for what money we're spending.
Well,
And we need to understand why we're spending more money than we allocated originally.
I think the other part of that too is if we do go back to bid and start the process over, that's time and money as well internally. So that's
Right.
another balancing act that we would have to think about, and then at the end, what are we getting? So I'm just saying all the options and thinking about other costs as well in regards to.
I mean, it just seems like a bit of a game, though. I mean, if I'm one of the bidders or whatever, I can just say, hey, I'm gonna increase. I don't care whether the bid meets budget spec or not. I know these guys want to move forward with it, so why should I try to generate a quote that's going to be even
Not as an argument for or against one approach, but just speaking from the design and the construction side of the process. If we were to go back to redesign to a new budget, you'd have additional design fees that then the city would have to pay for. You'd also then have, you'd delay the time from now to when the project was rebid and then rebuilt. So then you'd be adding additional inflation and cost expenses onto the project. So perhaps be looking to push the entire project back by a year or a year and a half. And so you'd probably just by the nature of extending the timeline be adding probably another 10 to 20% onto the price of the project.
Well, and honestly, even if prices do go down, you're probably still, once all is said and done, gonna end up there anyway because of the staff time and all of that. I see what you're saying.
A couple of things that caught us, when it was first, it was about 2 million. And what the inflation has been the last 3 years, and we've kind of delayed it almost 3 years. And then there was an issue, I'm still mad at the Plesco, but there was an issue with a stormwater pipe in there that delayed us a year. Well, Adam and Scott, at least a year.
4 by 5, so at least a year.
At least a year, so another 20%. you know, I'll point fingers at ourselves all over, some things beyond our control, but still, it's still a lot of money, you know, I'm uncomfortable with. So that it was
Yeah.
at 2 and now we're at, you know, over 5.
Well, there's no disrespect intended toward anybody or anything, but I sometimes feel with what we do with these parks is, you know, we're always going for the Taj Mahal, and not every park needs to be a Taj Mahal. I mean, it's just an opinion.
Yeah, example, I think my best example or comparable would be Albert Park. You know, I lived in Madison when I first started working, and Gammon Road kind of went through, and they had this, you know, this master plan for that big area out there. And it was expensive, it cost a lot, now granted, most of it was land, but that, you know, that's really the centerpiece of the west side of Madison. Everyone, you know, I ski there in the winter. Over time, you know, they've added a great shelter, they added a splash pad, they continue to do upgrades, but it's the centerpiece of the west, recreational of the west side of Madison. And while this has some, you know, has recreational value, the bike and the playground and things, it'll kind of be the center, I'd say, you know, kind of a community center for the North Fish Hatchery part of our city, which doesn't, you know, try to put lipstick on the pig, I guess, a little bit. I think it's gonna be well used, and I think the city will get good value out of it. I'm still comfortable with spending that much money, but I'm confident that it will be an asset to the city.
Well, I mean, look, in Madison, it took them, 60 years to build the Monona Center.
Any other questions? Thank you for that explanation on the delay. All right, seeing we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R112.
Did we get a
Oh,
first and a second?
Move to,
It was, yeah, I think it was moved and seconded.
Who
Initially, it was, yeah.
who was it?
No.
Isn't that how we opened it?
I
I thought we just discussed.
Yeah, we just, so I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution R11224.
Move to approve.
Moved by Chris, do we have a second? Christopher, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Chris, okay. Any more discussion? Then we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R11224, acceptance of North Fish Hatchery bids, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No.
You said no?
No, that's Sam opposed. Next, we have resolution R125, thank you, Adam. Resolution R12524, authorizing rejection of bids for the Stone Prairie Park implementation. We have a motion to approve this resolution.
Motion to approve.
Moved by Christopher, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Sam. So on this one, we went out for bids and we came in over our estimate. And Scott and the team believes that, you know, we have kind of two parts. We have a building and then we have the playground. And it's a feeling that you know, people that do the building are good at it and people do the playground. When you lump sum it, the guy that does the building, he's got a subcontract out the playground and he gets a markup on that. So you're thinking of rebidding it as two separate items?
As a base and some alternates.
Basins, okay, all right. So someone could just bid the building, or they could just bid the playground, or they could bid both? Correct. Okay.
Do you have an anticipation of what might be a savings, like a figure in mind?
What?
By doing it that way, by bidding it out?
Well, as Dave indicated, what'll happen is you'll have two different types of bidders. Generally, the building folks or the shelter people may not be involved in the playground, so they would sub the playground out.
Right.
So if we have an alternate, I'll have to double check whether the playground, here it is. This is, so what it'll be is we'll get the base bid from the contractor, and then we'll have the ability to either choose the alternate or not choose the alternate. And if we decide that we're not gonna choose the alternate, then when we could go out and separately bid
Okay.
the alternate later.
What did you have, do recall what you had for the engineer's estimate for the playground?
Well, here are the bids. Open air shelter was, if you, open air shelter installation, well, the low bid for that was $154, and then the playground equipment installation was $155.
Okay. So,
But we're thinking if we can bid the base for the building, and then actually do a lot of alternates, and then we can pick and choose the alternates that we would like or not like, and then if we don't choose any of the alternates, we can go out and separately bid just the playground.
are you looking at possibly our public works doing any of the work here? Or?
Not at this point.
Okay.
There might be some paths and things, and then actually too, if you recall, Stoner Prairie has the natural area.
Yeah.
So that's not included in this at all, so that'll be, in theory, that'll be something else that we'll budget, we'll bid that separately, depending on how many dollars we have remaining for the project.
So my experience, I don't know what board members, but my company, when we subcontract something, we always have to add 10%, 10% a minimum on it, so.
Right.
If you look at this, if you say, all right, he had to bid out the playground, 155, so I would save, 15,000.
Which would maybe cover the cost of maintenance for the prairie. Yeah, so I mean, I guess my question was just that you believe the cost savings is significant enough to rebid? Or to separate, is what I'm saying, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, that's our strategy, and how do we try to reduce the cost of the project to get us within budget.
Appreciate you thinking.
Can you
Yeah.
remind us what was the budget, and then the low bid, how much it came out?
The budget was around 400,
Okay.
and what the low bid was 499.
And then, second question, trying to think of how to ask this question. Going this route, are there any unintended issues you can think of going this route versus a package together? I mean, thinking timing, yeah, like,
Yeah.
and that might raise that cost back up to.
Well, and what we're also going to do is we're going to extend the deadline for completion to like July 1 of 2025, with the hope that that's going to attract more contractors. And really what we've kind of learned with all of these projects, the idea of trying to plan, bid, and construct it in 1 year is just a push. It's just, so it's better to plan, do the planning 1 year, and then you can kind of target when you want to release it, and then it's built the next year, which really I think gives flexibility to the contractor.
Yeah.
Because by the time we get it out to bid, their schedule might be filled, and that might be a cost. If you want to pay us, we'll come in and get it done. But this way, it kind of allows the flexibility for the contractor to say, you know what, we're beginning to start to fill our schedule for next year.
Yeah.
So that might help us. So that's kind of what we're, especially this project, the pickleball court, we're running into the same thing that, it's just a push to get it all done within 1 year. Compared to the Tower Hill renovation, that seems to be going pretty good, so we'll be able to do that this year.
There's been a lot of contractors in sort of the landscape realm in general, especially the bigger ones that might tackle a project like this, that have been booked up for 2024 for 4 months already.
Well, right, in 2023.
Yeah, so you may very well be looking at a bigger pool of bidders, and like you said, filling up their schedule for next year. They might be a little bit more aggressive with their bids, whereas if you want them to do it this year, yeah, it's going to cost you money, that type of approach. So you can have it fast, you can have it cheap, you can have it good, but only 2 of those 3, that's the.
So is there ever anything when we accept a bid or we sign a contract or whatever where, because time is money, I mean, if a deadline isn't met, there's always, okay.
There's penalties, yeah.
Okay, good.
And breach.
Any other questions? I thank you for considering this, and I know it'll be easier for you easier for you just to say, oh, we need more money out of you guys, and this is what's it gonna cost.
We're trying to make it work.
Yeah, I mean,
Appreciate
that's,
Appreciate that diligence, I don't
Yeah.
see enough of that. Okay. All right, so, any other discussion? Okay, we'll call the vote. All in favor of resolution R 125-24, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the motion carries. Next, we have resolution R 124-24, authorizing a return of a 2023 cash donation. And I know what this is about, but I'll let Scott.
This was, if you recall, Scott Pickelman. He lost his wife and two dogs during an accident on Sain Road. And I actually met with him shortly after that, and he wanted to do something to recognize both his wife and his dogs, and he gave $1,000. But then as we tried to work through figuring out what to do, we couldn't come to something that worked for him and worked for the city. And then I think he's actually thinking about potentially moving. So what he did request to see if he couldn't get that $1,000 back. And since it was accepted by the city through a resolution with donations, we have to go through a process to get formal approval by the council in order to return it. So
I understand what, he was looking for a bench? Was that what
a bench and some landscape, potentially trees and landscape. And we've got the Sain Road project going, so the idea of including that. So it just became,
I feel bad when
Yeah, I do
just
too.
could not be accommodated. Isn't there? Well, okay.
And I think it was kind of, and I think there was some uncertainty on his end too, Dave, that, he gave it right away, and then he kind of, after thinking about it, maybe that wasn't what he was.
He's requested the return?
He's requested the return back, yeah.
Oh, that, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand all the particulars. I thought maybe we couldn't find a place for it, so we were gonna give it back to him, which would have troubled me.
No, we tried to figure something out, and we just,
Okay.
couldn't satisfy what he was looking for.
and then he requested the money
I
back.
certainly feel for him. It's been I'm sure it's been a very difficult time. Board members, do you have any other thoughts on it? I talked to Alder Jetzer, and he really wanted me to push for trying to get, something, a bench, but I didn't understand the full
And that doesn't mean
details of
we
it.
can't potentially do something if we'd like to do something.
Yeah.
But he's not ready right now.
Okay. All right, well, maybe it might be something down the road. Keep the door open if he stays here.
Absolutely.
Please tell him that door is always open. We're always willing to listen on that.
We'll do.
But now if we authorize the return of it, then we would have to request it back.
It would be up to him to bring it
Right.
forward to us again, and so please communicate that to him. Please communicate that.
Absolutely.
Because there's more stuff going. Something could be found in the future potentially. Okay. Any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Do we have a motion to approve resolution R 124-24?
Motion to approve.
We have a second.
Second.
Second by Heidi. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have agenda item 5 Delta 2025 Parks Recreational Proposed Operating Budget, and I will let Scott take it away. I'm very encouraged.
Well, and what staff is recommending, that the operational budget remains the same for 2025. What I am going to do too is, we have an opportunity to provide a memo, just kind of an update on our capacity status and those kinds of things, so it can kind of be out there for consideration, which was, in interest of the 2025 budget is going to be very, very tight. So I thought the idea of we'll just stay with our operating, but I didn't want to lose the opportunity of planting the seed, if you would, that we've got some capacity concerns and issues and provide that information in a memo as part of the budget. Another part of the budget is the fees, and what staff is recommending for the park shelter rental fees is that we raise the larger shelters. Let me get to it. So we would raise McKee, McGaw, and Hugo Jamestown. We would raise those $25 across the board. And then Greenfield, Swan Creek, Tower Hill, McKee, Quarry Ridge, and Southdale, we would raise them by 15 across the board. And then what I did want to provide, just as a bit of information, this is a weekly schedule that I put together for the park maintenance group, and you see these are all of our diamonds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 total diamonds within the park system. And then the games, so if there's a game, all of these indicate a rental, either a practice fee or a game preparation fee. But I just wanted to show you that, on Monday they had to prepare 3 diamonds, just to kind of give you an idea of the capacity and the work that they're doing in the field. But more specifically, the other group, this is the splash pad. These, we rent them in 2-hour blocks. So this coming Friday, we've got 2 groups, Saturday 1, 2, 3 groups. And then on Sunday, we've got 3 groups renting the splash pad. And then all the highlighted shelters are the rentals for that weekend. So, the demand is pretty high, so I think we're pretty safe in raising the fees for the rental of those facilities.
Does the splash pad close to other people if they
That's what I was wondering, is it,
What's that?
Is the splash pad closed to the public if someone rents it?
No. This is there's 5 shade structures at the splash pad.
Okay.
2 on the east and then 3 on the west.
Renting those.
And then 1, we just have 1 in the corner that's available for rent. All the other 4 are first come, first serve. So this is an opportunity where people, so they can figure out the time and all those kinds of things.
Scott, what is the rental fee for the large shelters?
Well, it depends on if it's below 100 or above 100.
Jamestown Eagle, for example.
What's that?
Say the Jamestown Eagle.
Hugo Jamestown they've got an indoor.
Yeah.
So that comes with it, so it's 200, and then it's 225 on the weekend.
Okay, so going 25 higher, I don't think we're, when, say if it's on, we gotta rent it Saturday and Sunday. Okay, so then Saturday morning on overtime, some park employee is out there
Every day.
getting it ready, and then Sunday, do they get double time on Sunday? No,
I don't
time and a
think
half.
so. Time and a half.
So time and a half on Sunday, getting, I see them out there and they do a great job. I don't make sure you're recovering, and even if he's out there 2 hours, and by the time you're loaded cost, truck and everything, make sure you're covering that it's not.
Well, and
I don't want it to be $1,000, but make sure you get enough to cover it, to take care of it on those.
well, and we're kind of going supply and demand too. So we're trying to find that.
Absolutely.
But it appears to me by the reservations that we're not quite, I think we're safe to raise the fees.
Do you have a fee for a resident versus non-resident?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
Do we have a discount program for certain groups, and is there a process for that? And
Everybody pays,
Okay, just thinking like some groups like.
except the city staff.
Like, I don't know, like a nonprofit or that's serving a special population that we'd want to. Okay, and then the other question that I have in regards to staffing and timing, all the salaries for the parks employees come out of the operating budget?
Operating budget, yeah.
And then is there an annual increase that would cover for inflation? Because I know that's a big issue for staff.
That's approved by the council.
Okay. And so we're not increasing budget for 2025, but that is not part of that, that's separate.
That's not staffing,
Okay.
right, that's
Got it,
that's
okay.
just the operating.
Great.
Paper and pencil material.
Okay,
part
thank
of the
you.
budget. Well, and if I might, and this is for you too, Sam, what I've included in here are the line items for both the parks budget and the recreation budget, along with some additional information here, and these are the operating, it doesn't include salaries. This is kind of the list of the different operating budgets for the department.
Thank you.
I feel like he made a good point about weekends. Looking, there's $25 difference, but I'm sure the labor is probably more than $25. So I mean, maybe, we want to consider that weekend being a premium and it costs more, that we maybe want to do more than a $25 difference between weekday and weekend. Just throwing that out there.
I don't know what I have no idea what a loading costs for an employee.
About $50.
More than that.
On
With his truck,
During,
he gives his base salary and there's a loading on that, and then you got a truck.
You figure minimum 100. I mean,
Yeah,
that's probably
yes.
safe to
It's
say.
more of a- Yeah, I'd say it's so I just want to make sure you're covering, they're wonderful facilities and they add to the enjoyment of our city. We don't, I don't want to make them outprice anyone, but make sure we cover our costs on them.
Well, and I think Scott made a good point too when he said, we've got a lot of rentals already out there.
yeah.
And I know just when, my kids were graduating from high school, trying to rent a park in Madison was almost impossible to find because, here in Wisconsin, summer is so premium to us because we get so little of it. I feel like most people would be willing to pay a little more.
Heidi, my neighbor, their daughter, she's going to be a senior this fall at Verona.
Okay.
But already, they've had it reserved, Jamestown Eagle, like a year and a half.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
got.
They're very popular,
Mhm.
which is good. Well, and to your point, Dave, it's a credit to the rec department who are working with those customers day to day, and the park staff that are keeping them nice.
It's taken care of.
Yeah,
They're
some
really
people are-
nice.
They're beautiful parks. Yeah, you guys do a nice job.
Any question, I put this out, comparison, Madison there, the mayor's telling everyone in the department, 5% cut. So,
I just
not
heard
that
that.
I want to be for some cuts, but you came in at flat, God bless you.
Yeah, flats is.
I don't,
I understood.
I haven't had many
I
of those.
understood the
I
environment.
haven't had many of those in my 31 years in Florence and stuff.
I don't even want to open the can of worms of the Seattle budget process, but it's not a fun time right now for municipal.
For what?
budgets. The Seattle budget process right now, it's just not a fun time for municipal
Oh,
budgets.
yeah. Well, heck, our home budgets,
Yeah.
I mean, the last 3 years,
All right.
20%.
Thank you.
Thank you, Stan. You're welcome. All right, on to agenda item 6, communication.
Let's, can I get a first and a second for that?
Is
This
this
is what I'll do for the budget.
Move to approve.
Okay. All right, we have a motion to approve. I guess Chris moved to approval. Christopher moved to approval. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Chris. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're approved, Scott.
Thank you.
Next, we have item 6, communication.
No communication, I think.
Okay, all right.
This is kind of a special.
I was gonna say, this is where it ends. What?
We just met 2 weeks ago.
All right, then that takes us to staff reports. And do you have any updates there? Okay.
I do have a future agenda
Okay.
for August.
So in August, we are, I'm working with a group to develop a 5013B Friends of the Parks, and we're probably gonna have a meeting. We'll have a meeting and and start laying some things out. So on the next meeting, maybe we can present a little what our vision is. I would like to know what is you come up with this, but what's the cost to maintain the facilities? I'm not talking about prepping the baseball field or whatever, if reshingling the roof or replacing the playground, or what do you have in the budget a year, what are we gonna have in the budget every year for those? I need that number. Okay?
And give credit to Adam Sayre, what he told me this year is I've gotta come up with that annual number, because each of the playgrounds or the shelters, they all have a shelf life,
Yep.
if you would. So what needs to be the annual allocation in order to do all of that work and upkeep on the amenities within the shelter?
I know it's not gonna be, 100%, but give me a number, okay? Because we'd like to know that, and see what we can.
Well,
friends in the park.
The one account we have is 6259, the CIP, which there's like $65,000 in there every year. But if you take, for example, playgrounds, we have 40 playgrounds,
Yeah.
and they last 25 years. So and they cost $50,000. So in theory, you should replace 2 a year. So that's $100,000 right there just to get on a cycle for the playgrounds.
Well, give me your best shot here, and we'll have that
Sort of the bottom line.
Well,
I need the bottom line, and I don't know what a friends group will be able to. We're looking to provide financial support.
I'd be interested, Dave, if you want to give me a call offline, I can share some
All right, I will do that.
some thoughts with you on what, because I've thought about it.
I will do that before I get there.
That'd be awesome.
Team together. Any other anything else then? Thank you for coming on
Yeah.
a special meeting. I
Appreciate it.
appreciate it. And,
One quick question, where are things at with this $5 million teen center? I mean, I know, was it Diana sent me an answer to some of the questions that I had, but I just feel like $5 million is a really big number. And
I think I can help a hell of a lot of kids for $100,000.
exactly, I mean, I think we ought to consider maybe backing off of that big field of dreams and maybe find the first year where we can lease a building and get ourselves set up. What does the community need? What are they gonna take advantage of? What would we put in there that maybe they don't need? Who's gonna help? What kind of volunteer system can we get? I just feel like this needs a lot more conversation.
They had a Monday night there was an event, where they had teens and they bought them a free dinner, and they talked about it. I had Public Works, I couldn't attend, but it's in the process. I feel like that train is going down the tracks, and I'm gonna get hit by the headlight, but it's not on our, I don't wanna have too much discussion on it because it's not an agenda item here, so at some point, maybe that'd be an agenda item for us to talk about again. I know Alder Maldonado came before the board. I couldn't make that meeting. He talked about his vision for it, so.
Also, on a separate note, Scott, do you mind just talking briefly of the Madison, we were just up at, I forget the name of the park, that event, because I wasn't able to make it, yeah, Southdale.
That was a great event.
How was that event?
That was an event that, who sponsored it?
That was, it was a company.
Rivers.
River, the food bank.
Yeah,
The
River Bend or something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the river band, food pantry.
They sponsored an event and then they had a lot of different exhibits and
Yeah.
providers. So I was there with the Southdale Concept Park Plan.
Mhm.
And actually I had a survey and I'm beginning to try to gather some feedback
Great.
from the community on what they, and basically it was a list of things that we're considering to have there and how important do they feel
Yeah.
those are. So, and what I'll do too is there's a QR code, so I'll get that posted there and hopefully in August or so I'll be able to bring back some results on what they're looking for at Southdale, and then we can, begin to start to work on, because we have, I think it might be $465,000, I think, allocated in a CIP
Yeah.
to do some improvements there.
Was it well attended?
It was.
I had planned on going and I
Yeah.
ended up having a migraine that night.
I would love if we had someone from that community maybe consider being a board member.
Sure.
Just
Sure.
have more representation, especially in the newer part of the city, so.
And they have Lori, I can't recall her last, she's joining Family Forces. She's got an office in the neighborhood, so I'm
Yeah.
working with her, and we're really trying to gather the information from the community on what they'd like to see there.
Great,
Good.
I'm glad that was a great event.
Thank you for raising that, appreciate it. Anything else? Okay, our next two meetings are August 1st and September 5th. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Return.
Moved by Chris, do we have a second?
Second.
Second.
We are
Happy
adjourned.
summer.
Thank you.